Good evening and welcome to the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club's Monday evening transmission of Amateur Radio Newsline. My name is Russ and my call is KDAVYT. But for this presentation of Newsline, I will be using the club call Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor. Without further ado, this is Amateur Radio Newsline.
Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2369 with a release date of Friday, March 24th, 2023. To follow in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The following is a QST. Fire destroys an important life-saving repeater in Oklahoma. The Dayton amateur radio community loses a leader. And a victory atop an Australian summit for one young operator. All this and more as Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2369 comes your way right now.
From around the world, this is Newsline, Amateur Radio's independent on-the-air news and bulletin service. Now, reporting from Union, Kentucky, here's Neil Rapp, WB9VPG.
A vital repeater in southern Oklahoma has literally gone up in smoke, leaving a region without an important emergency communications resource. Rouse Squillace, KK6 ITB has that story.
Fire has destroyed the W5BLW repeater in southern Oklahoma, taking down a critically important resource for Skywarn, the Red Cross, and local emergency operations in 5 counties of the region. According to Vance Smith, KE5BAL of the Ardmore Amateur Radio Club, it will be a slow road back for the repeater, which stood for more than 16 years. Vance told Newsline that the repeater was consumed by a controlled burn that went the wrong way on the private ranch property where the repeater stood. By the time the damage was noticed on the mountaintop, it was too late. Now the scrambling and the hard work begins so that emergency communications can resume when needed. Vance said he has an old repeater that can be put up temporarily on another site, but it will be a while before a full power repeater will be back in action at the site on top of Arbuckle Mountain. He told Newsline, quote, "We have a lot of work to do up at the site. We are going to need a tower climber to do work up top and along the side of the tower." End quote. The Ardmore Amateur Radio Club repeater bears the name and call sign of Ardmore Club member Charles M. DeBrell, who became a silent key in 1998. He had been a licensed ham since 1929. Vance told Newsline, quote, "This is a very important piece of radio equipment for southern Oklahoma." End quote. This is Ralph Squillace, KK6 ITB.
A recent move by the FCC means that increasing numbers of smartphone users may discover what hams already know, that when there's no terrestrial service, additional coverage is readily available from satellites. Dave Parks, WB8 ODF, has the details.
Smartphones may soon have a direct connection to satellites when necessary, following a move by the U.S. Federal Communications Commission to set out guidelines for such service. While space-based connections are already a reality on a limited basis with Apple phones, and they're in the works for T-Mobile, SpaceX, Qualcomm, and Iridium, guidelines are still needed to sort out the rules for a broader implementation. A recent draft document by the FCC seeks to explore this kind of supplemental service and how it would work. The FCC said in a news release that this would require agency authorization for terrestrial-based providers so they could provide licensed operation on a part of the spectrum reserved for them. Phones would switch to the satellite signal when no other signal is available. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Dave Parks, WB8ODF.
A leader in the Dayton, Ohio amateur radio community and a force in the annual Dayton Hamvention has become a silent key. We hear more from Patrick Clark, K8TAC.
Amateurs in Dayton, Ohio and beyond often look to Ron Kramer, KD8ENJ, for leadership. He was the vice president of the Dayton Amateur Radio Association, which he had one time served as president, and he was general chairman of the Dayton Hamvention. Ron became a silent key on Saturday, March 11th, after a brief illness. His skills at organizing and leading especially came to the forefront as part of the group that worked to provide Hamvention with a smooth transition to the Greene County Fairgrounds after more than 5 decades at Hare Arena. In a message on the ARRO website, DARA President Jack Gerbs, WB8SCT, described Ron as, quote, a hard-working, dedicated, wonderful person who had a positive impact on everyone he encountered. His only fault was he would never say no, end quote. Ron Kramer was 75. This is Patrick Clark, KHTAC.
Congratulations to George Dewar, VY2GF of Prince Edward Island, Canada, on being chosen Activator of the Year for 2022 by the Amateur Radio Lighthouse Society. George is being celebrated for his numerous activations at the region's lighthouses and for promoting the activity in the media. Society President John Huggins, KX40, and Tim Hijazi, KB3K, said that George was selected for having, quote, set a high bar not just with the quantity of lighthouse activations and logged QSOs, but equally with quality, end quote. All the best, George. Amateur radio communication is just one part of the outer space experience one ISS astronaut is sharing through a new website. Here's John Williams, VK2JJW, with that report.
The website's better known as ELF in space, and it's been created by the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center in Dubai and the Emirates Literature Foundation as a communications tool about technology and the space program. It features Sultan Al-Nayadi, KI-5VTV, the second astronaut from the United Arab Emirates. The communications engineer is on board the ISS for the longest Arab space mission to date. The website's debut was announced on March the 10th. Al-Nayadi is giving its visitors a window into his 6-month experience on board the International Space Station. His is not the only voice to be heard. There'll be input from some very terrestrial voices, such as authors and space experts. Other UAE astronauts, such as Hazar Al-Masuri and Nora Al-Matrushi, will join him. The website has a strong tie-in to the classroom experience, and each week new topics will be released discussing the challenges and discoveries of space travel. There are also classroom-based activities for educators to download for their students. As part of a 20-week learning program, students around the world will watch each episode as it's released with subtitles. A link to the first episode is in the text version of this week's newscast at arnewsline.org. This is John Williams, VK4JJW.
Just a reminder that the worldwide special event for autism awareness is on the air March 25th through April 2nd, sponsored by the 10 Mile River Scout Camp Amateur Radio Club. Listen for call signs from an international team of operators, including W2A, GB2AA, GB2AAW, GB0AAW, 8A0RARI, 4X0AAW, HI0AUT, S76A, and VC2AA. Scientists have found the source of a mysterious radio signal from the sun that sounds curiously like a heartbeat. Kent Peterson, KC0DGY, takes the pulse of this remarkable research.
When a recent C-class solar flare more than 5,000 kilometers above the sun sent out a radio signal in a heartbeat-like pattern, scientists began to work to unlock the reason behind it. The international team went in search of the origin of the pattern, known as quasi-periodic pulsation, or QPP. Studying observations captured in 2017 by a radio telescope in California that detects microwave frequencies, the researchers began studying a heartbeat-like pattern that repeated every 10 to 20 seconds. Then they unearthed something unexpected. A secondary signal, which was weaker and could be discerned every 30 to 60 seconds. According to their recently published study, they have been able to determine the so-called heartbeats are triggered by disruptions known as magnetic islands, which form in sheets of rapidly moving plasma from the sun. At the heart of the matter is what this research may ultimately reveal. Writing in the journal Nature Communications, one researcher said the answer was the key to a fuller understanding of the scope of the damage that solar storms can do when their energy is released. This is Kent Peterson, KC0DGY.
Time for you to identify your station. We are the Amateur Radio Newsline, heard on bulletin stations around the world, including the K2JJI repeater of the Tryon Amateur Radio Club, which is celebrating its 50th
Back to the
anniversary
net,
this year
this
in
is
upstate New York.
WO3X.
Newsline is heard Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. before the Aries and Races net, and on Echo Lake node 845553 with a live audio feed on Broadcastify under K2JJI. Association hosted the first presentation by a 3Y0J team member on what it was like to live on and activate Bouvet Island. The expedition Adrian K08SCA provided a 1-hour talk complete with dramatic photographs on the Zoom platform earlier this month. He described the team's 10-day effort to maintain a delicate balance of food and fuel supplies as they scheduled precious time to operate on the air, at first using CW and sideband and later FT8. They also kept an eye on storm systems. As Adrian told his viewers, quote, "Mother Nature is never doing things in your favor," end quote. The expedition left the island on February 14th after making more than 19,000 QSOs. Whether you've worked Bouvet Island or not, you can still view Adrian's talk, which is now available to everyone, on YouTube on the Northern Illinois DX Association channel. You can also find a link to it through the Northern Illinois DX Association website at nidxa.org. A very young amateur in Australia has completed a summit activation that he's likely never to forget. Preamp VK4BB shares his victory with us.
First-time summit activator Emil, Victor Kilo 5, Whiskey, 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 has now earned 1 point in the circa award scheme for each year of his life. The 10-year-old Australian amateur successfully activated Mount Wellington in Tasmania with an HT and a lot of hope Tuesday, March 21, shortly before 9:30 a.m. local time. The summit is 1,270 metres or 4,167 foot high. Operating as Victor Kilo 5, Whiskey, 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 Port 7, he logged 6 contacts in the Hobart area on 2 metres. 1/2 hour later, it was a done deal. Emil's first solo act was a success. His proud father, John VK5HA, who is also an activator, reported his son's SOTA success on the Australian SOTA Activators Groups.io email list. Congratulations on reaching new heights, Emil. Good on you. This is Graham Kemp, VK4BB.
In the world of DX, the Sable Island DXpedition CY0S is underway in Nova Scotia, Canada, until the 30th of March and will include 2-meter EME operation. Operators will also use the HF bands plus 6 meters. Modes will include CW sideband and FT8 in Fox sound mode. Contacts also count for parks on the air for Park VE0210, the ARL HF Lighthouse Award for Lighthouse B002, and IOTA
Back to the
island number NA063. QSL via WA4DAN. Listen for Miguel CT1EBM, who is using the call sign CN2EBM from the 26th of March to the 9th of April during a 5,000-kilometer tour through Morocco. He is using sideband and FT8 on the HF bands. He will be operating via the QO100 satellite on sideband. For details, see QRZ.com. Deep FK4QX, Eve FK4RD, and Michelle FK8IK are using the call sign TX5L from Lifu Island, IOTA number OC033 in New Caledonia from the 27th to the 31st of March. They are operating CW and sideband on 40 through 10 meters, QSL via F4FTV. Vista HA5AO will be on the air as 5X2I on the shores of Lake Victoria in Uganda from the 24th of April to the 10th of May. He will operate single sideband, CW, and FT8 in Fox sound mode on 40 through 10 meters. QSL request to OQRS or send your card direct or via the Bureau to HA5AO. The complete log will be uploaded to Logbook of the World 6 months after the expedition. Be listening for Janusz SP9FIH, who's operating as E51WEG, and Leszek SP6CIK, operating as E51CIK from Rarotonga, IOTA number OC013 in the South Cook Islands. They will be there from the 13th to the 28th of April, operating CW sideband ready and FT8 on 40 through 10 meters. QSL via Club Logs OQRS. For our final story, we ask, can you imagine being 101 years old and still on the air, sending and copying CW? We visit with one man in Iowa who doesn't have to imagine it because he's living it. Jim Dameron in a TMW tells us about it.
Just like the Morse code he loves to send, the 101 years of Bold Dibble W0TER have been a continuous wave. The Iowa man turned 101 years old on St. Patrick's Day. And according to several press reports and a video on YouTube, his longevity and enthusiasm, like his ability to send CW, transmit a powerful message on a daily basis. Lowell has a long history on the air. He served as a radio officer with the Merchant Marine during World War II. An amateur extra-class operator, he has regular QSOs with his friends using CW and keeps active at the retirement community where he lives. His mental workouts with code are complemented by his daily routine of physical workouts that start his day. His son Mark told TV station KCRG in an interview just days before his father's birthday that what keeps him going is, quote, the excitement of just wanting to do things. Get up in the morning. It's not, what am I going to do? It's, what of all these things am I going to do today? End quote. Dibble told the TV station that although he credits good genes, having a positive outlook is also a definite plus, and he plans to keep riding the excitement of that continuous wave. This is Jim Dameron, N8TNW.
We remind our listeners that young hams who live in the continental United States have an opportunity to make news, if they aren't already doing so, by being a recipient of this year's Amateur Radio Newsline Bill Pasternak Memorial Young Ham of the Year Award. Consider nominating an amateur radio operator 18 years of age or younger, someone who has talent, promise, and a commitment to the spirit of ham radio. Find application forms on our website, arnewsline.org, under the YHOTY tab. Nominations are now open and close on May 31st. Do you have a piece of amateur radio news that you think Newsline would be interested in? We're not talking about advertising your club's upcoming Hamfest or field day participation, but something that's out of the ordinary. If so, send us a brief overview via the contact page at arnewsline.org. If it's newsworthy and we would like to cover it, we'll get back to you for more details. With thanks to Amateur News Weekly, ARRL, CQ Magazine, David B. RK7DB, Dayton Daily News, DXWorld.net, FCC, 425DX News, Groups.io, Gulf News, KCRG TV, Lloyd Colston, KC5 FM, Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center, New Jersey Institute of Technology, QRZ.com, SciTech Daily, ShortWaveRadio.de, TechCrunch, Vance Smith, KE5BAL, Wireless Institute of Australia, and you, our listeners. That's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline. We remind our listeners that Amateur Radio Newsline is an all-volunteer, non-profit organization that incurs expenses for its continued operation. If you wish to support us, please visit our website at arnewsline.org and know that we appreciate you all. We also remind our listeners that if you like our newscast, please leave us a 5-star rating wherever you subscribe to us. For now, with Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team worldwide, I'm Neil Rapp, WB9VPG in Union, Kentucky, saying 7-3. And as always, we thank you for listening. Amateur Radio Newsline is copyright 2023. All rights reserved.
This concludes our Monday evening transmission of Amateur Radio Newsline. Net to start in about 11 minutes. This is KD8VYT 73.
W8VPV. Repeater.
Clear, I can see the lights that are across Lorraine in a business there, but it might make its way here. So let's see, WD8 AEK Frank, it is your turn next. Go ahead.
Okay, young lady, and I know you're young compared to me. I'm 81, but why did you eliminate the 73 round? I'm just curious. Now, we have a bus that's going to the Dayton Hamfest, and it's $50 a person. It leaves at 5 a.m. at Middleburg Heights, Ohio, and it'll also stop at other places like Strongsville and places like that. So I don't know if any of you people would like to go to the Dayton Hamfest. I realize it's not in Dayton anymore, but it's very close to Dayton. So anyway, I just thought I'd put that out there. Apparently the bus will hold 30, 40 people. From what I understand, they, well, I don't know what you'd say, rented a whole bus, I think, for $1,700. So if anybody's interested in that, we do have a bus that's going to take you to the Dayton Hamfest. With that, back over to Net Control. This is Whiskey Delta 8 Alpha Echo Kilo.
Whiskey Delta 8 Alpha Echo Kilo. Which club is that? I can see the sign for the I can see the flyers that are handed out in my head, but I can't remember the club. Which club is that, sir?
I'm not sure, but they were talking about cars, C-A-R-S. I'm thinking maybe it's that. I don't really know. Over to you.
Well, I think you're right. I think it is CARS, Cuyahoga Amateur Radio Society. And the reason we have 2 rounds is I think 3 is too long. I always have thought that. It might not be so bad since when we don't have a whole boatload of people aboard, but when I first started coming on the net, on the Radiaps net, and there were like 15 and 16 people, 3 rounds would end up being like an hour and a half or longer, and I just don't have that patience. I can't sit here that long. So it's the discretion of the net control station, and I choose to have 2 rounds. So, and like I said before, people want to hang out longer and somebody else wants to pick up net control, have at it. You know, it's absolutely fine. All right, with that, we're going down to Jim, KE8, TLG. Go ahead, sir.
W8VM in the group. Good evening. Well, I want to make a comment about the handwriting. The bigger disappointment in all that is a lot of the public schools are now dropping the requirement. I've got nieces and nephews that you write a card and you sign your name to it for their birthday or something. They have no idea what you wrote. So that's pretty sad. Let's see. We went the whole weekend without power since Saturday afternoon. I can get a break here. And very disappointed in the way the electric company handled the whole situation. The only updates we could get was through the local news, and you couldn't get anything from First Energy as far as information. They should have their website updated. They should have at least be able to send out messages to people on their list for texting. They didn't do any of that. They just completely collapsed and fell apart in a situation where they needed to be their best, and they just weren't at it. We get another break here. So with that said, we finally got our power back today at about noon, and it got down to 52 degrees in the house here. And I said, okay, well, the heck with this. I'm going to put a fire in the fireplace. And I put the fire in the fireplace, and no sooner than 10 minutes after I put the fire, the power came on. So I probably should have lit the fire Saturday night, making my power that came on. Who knows? Anyway, that's all I got for now. So we'll send it back to you there, Elaine. And this is KE8TLG.
KE8TLG, W8VM. I was unaware there was a big power failure. We had flickers here, but no actual failure. I'm so sorry that happened to you, and that is really not good business practice as far as communication goes. That First Energy really dropped the ball, and I'm so sorry about that. That's really kind of aggravating. Next, we go to Glenn, AF8C. Go ahead, sir.
W8V.
Okay, this is AF8C.
Repeater.
Yeah, I'm keying the radio. So I'll go through a bunch of stuff real fast here. We have sticks everywhere in the yard because of the windstorm. I'm going to have some cleanup as soon as it quits raining. Next Monday night, I will be at the DX meeting, so I'll miss at least part of the net, I think. We'll find out when that happens. When it goes to handwriting, when I was in like the 2nd and 3rd grade, maybe it was, yeah. We had the thing called Parker penmanship, where the lady would come in and teach us how to write cursive with fountain pen ink pens. And I was kind of yelled at by her because I didn't like what she was telling me about how I was writing, and I don't know, I don't remember many of the details, but basically every time she came in the room after that, I got a stomach ache. Okay, but if you're doing old-fashioned genealogy, which I get involved with occasionally, looking at the old census records from the 1800s and so forth, and they did a lot of cursive writing in those papers that you can now look at on the internet, and it's very difficult to read that stuff. I've heard you almost have to get trained in how they wrote their cursive back then. What else? I was in the CQ prefix contest. I haven't been in a contest for quite a while, but this one tempted me because I have a good prefix. This is Alpha Foxtrot 8 Charlie. And I got 280 QSOs with 60,000 points roughly. We had this big solar storm with the worst in 6 years. It was written up in one of the websites, and so the A index was 66 on Saturday, and sometime late Saturday it got down to 18, and then on Sunday it was 15. But basically what I did was I got on 40 meters at night, sideband this is, and I only did those 40-meter contacts, nothing during the daytime when the higher frequency bands were active. Well, on 40 meters sideband, I got South Africa for the first time. So that was a good one. We had talked about 2 nets, I think. St. Patrick and the Irish, and I said there's this book. It's called How the Irish Saved Civilization. And somebody out there wanted to know who was the author. Well, that was Mr. Thomas Cahill, Charlie Alpha with the word hill on the end. I thought it was Costain last time I talked because there was some books I read by a guy named Thomas. I think it's Thomas Costain, but this is Thomas Cahill.
W8VPV.
Oh, I haven't.
Repeater.
I dragged this book out. I haven't actually reread it yet. It did not get a checksum error or anything.
calling all amateur radio operators. Welcome to the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club Monday Night VHF UHF Net. My name is Frank. My call is WADCT, but for the purposes of this net, I'll be using the club call Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor. This is an open directed net. All amateur radio operators are invited and encouraged to check in. You do not have to be a club member. All traffic will go through net control, and since emergency traffic may break in at any time, please leave a brief pause between transmissions. The purpose of this net is to bring together amateur radio operators for the exchanging of amateur-related ideas and information to enhance net operating practices and to keep members up to date about club happenings. This net meets here every Monday evening at 8:30 p.m. local time, preceded by Amateur Radio Newsline at 8:01. We'll start with some announcements and then ask for check-ins from any officer or member who has announcements of general interest for the club. Once that's complete, we'll take check-ins, call sign only, 5 at a time, and when I get done working that list, we'll go back, take 5 more, and repeat until we get done there. All right, some announcements. Wednesday, April 12th is our business meeting. This is going to be an important one, and I urge you to attend either in person or in Zoom if you can possibly do so. It is now the first round of officer nominations. With the bylaw amendments last year, we now nominate officers on April and May, vote on it in June, and the officers take effect July 1st. So if you would like to contribute to the club, please come along. Show up and make it clear that you would like to be an officer, and we can certainly get you involved in that. All right, additionally, we'll need to have one trustee to be replaced. Our oldest trustee is stepping down, and so we do need a replacement. That happens in the odd years. Okay, additionally, we will be reviewing the Hamfest and the status and, I should say the Hamfest status and volunteer training for our Hamfest, because that is coming up 3 days later. So please, if you're going to be a volunteer at the Hamfest, show up and let us give you some quick updates as to what we're doing. Of course, the big event is our Hamfest. Setup for vendors is Friday, April 14th. We will need help moving tables and setting them up, so please, if you've got some time, come on out to Emilio's Party Center and give us help. The Hamfest itself is Saturday, April 15th. The doors start to open about 6 a.m. for vendors. Open for everybody else at 8 o'clock. Please be there if you're a club member and help us make this a success. We need people watching doors, selling tickets, helping vendors to their sites, answering questions, running the check-in station, and so on. Saturday, April 22nd is the Tusco Hamfest 1 week later. This is now being held at the Tuscarawas County Fairgrounds. I have not been to one of these recently, or at least that I remember, so it'll be an interesting one. I'm going to try to make it. Wednesday, April 26th is our activity meeting. It's a Zoom presentation titled Rocketry and Amateur Radio, and it's taught by a college student, Morgan Lyons, KI5SXY. She is very active in her university, which has an aeronautics and space program, and launches some pretty big rockets and uses amateur radio, so it should be an interesting program. And finally, later tonight at 9:30, we will have our band exploration net. That'll be 80 meters this evening on 3.827, assuming the trees haven't got my antenna. I really haven't tried it. So hopefully we'll catch me there. All right, with that, do we have any officers, trustees, or club members with any announcements of general information or general interest to the club? Please come now.
WO3X.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, regarding the Hamfest and the volunteers, I get a message every time the volunteer list is changed, and we are way lacking volunteers, especially for Saturday morning. So, like you mentioned, we need people to watch the doors and sell tickets and so forth. So I'm going to be putting an article in the newsletter that shows how to sign up to be a volunteer. So that'll be coming out when the new newsletter comes out. And so with that, back to the net. This is WO3X.
All right, thank you, John. Really appreciate that. Yeah, we could use all the help we can get, and we had a very good, very successful Hamfest last year, and we're expecting no less this year. We do have a food vendor confirmed in coming in, and she's known for excellent food. It's Southern Things. So by all means, this will be a big event, but to make it happen, we do need volunteers. So club members, and even if you're not a member and want to donate some time, we sure could use it. All right, with that, do we have any other announcements of general interest?
Alpha Charlie 8 X-Ray Oscar.
All right, AC8XO, go ahead.
It's the weekly bag, Frank. It's the weekly bag. I sent out an email for those people that are not on the net, but for anybody listening on the net, newsletter deadline is Friday. Anybody wants to get stuff in, I would appreciate it. Other than that, that's all I have. Count me as checked in, and hope you guys have a good rest of the net. AC8XO, back to net.
Thanks very much. Really appreciate the check-in, and of course, what you do for the club as far as the newsletter editor. I will try to get something in. I'm kind of scrambling right now with club issues, or the Hamfest issues, but I'll try to get something to you. So thanks very much. Appreciate it. All right, do we have any other announcements of general interest?
W8KL with maybe a query or two.
Okay, we're not doing individual check-ins. If this is a general query, go ahead.
Well, this has to do with 162.4, which includes everybody listening. It's the weather radio channel. They're non-existent on a regular portable weather radio scanner and or receiver. I can hear them with my 2890, excuse me, with a 4-element on the tower, barely. So just wonder if anybody else has tried to copy 162.4 since the windstorm.
W8VPV. Repeater. PL110.9.
That's interesting. I don't follow that carefully, but you're probably right. They lost their antenna during the windstorm. All right, we'll put it out there as a question tonight when you're checking in individually. Let us know if you've listened for and hear the National Weather Service station 162.4 megahertz. It's up out of Cleveland, isn't it, Ken?
Our office is in Brooklyn Heights. I looked online today, and also I can hear them on, I believe it's 162.55. The Lakeshore transmitter is working fine as far as my 2890 or 2980 Yaesu transceiver is concerned. I have a 4-element up about 35 foot pointed north. So if you have to have that kind of antenna, I think they're kind of hurting. They're supposed to be meant to transmit to portable receivers with little 6-8-inch antennas. So if you need a ham antenna on a tower, it's not working. W8KL.
Yeah, that's obviously true. I'm sure you're absolutely right. They lost their antenna or feed line or some combination thereof on the ground or in the windstorm, and the reason you're able to hear it is because you got good ears and it's on the ground. So thanks very much. We'll see if anybody else reports the same thing, but I'm sure you're right then. All right, do we have any other announcements of general interest? Otherwise, we'll open this up to regular check-ins, and we got the 3 you checked in. Right. Well, we're ready to go then. General check-ins, go ahead and give me 5 here, and call sign only, and we'll get right back to you when I get down to the bottom of the list.
KDVYT.
All right, got you, Russ. Next.
AB8OU.
Got you, Zeke. Next.
November 8 Alpha Charlie Papa.
Chris, got you. Next. I have 3 here. I got you, Chris. Next check-in.
W8DIS.
Got you, Bill. Next. trying to check in, and they have I've heard this before, a feature enabled on their HT that puts a beep out and mutes the microphone for the first 3 or 4 seconds. Try it again, push your button, wait about 3 seconds, then give me your call. Some kind of a mode. I think I've got one here that'll do that, where it sends a beep out and mutes the microphone when you first try to transmit. So key the microphone, wait about 3-4 seconds, and then give me your name and call sign.
KD8VYT.
Go ahead, Russ.
That happens with the Baofangs, and there's a little kind of like a double cross loop in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. If that is there, just press the 0 key and then transmit. I had that problem when I first started. KD8VYT.
Awesome, and thank you very much, Russ. All right, station trying to check in. If you heard Russ, that's your answer. If you want to give it a try, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to start. We'll start with Russ as a check-in. Right, hopefully he'll be back. Russ, go ahead, check in, and thank you for that tip.
Yeah, when I first started on ham radio, and you were on there running the net, and I had the same problem, and somebody finally come in there and said, push the 0, and that was it. Anyway, just a reminder, we are not going on the bus trip. We are not. People are disappointed. I'm sorry about that. Could not find transportation. So, I just got online, as you announced it, and set up for my volunteer time on Hamfest Day. I signed up for watching the door in the morning and then selling 50-50 tickets. I don't have the stability anymore to set up a bunch of tables and chairs, so I probably won't be doing that. Anyway, everybody have a good evening. 73 KD8VYT.
Very good, Russ, and thank you for volunteering, and I fully understand that. We're all turning into old people. I hate to admit it, but it's happening. We don't have the strength, ability, stamina, and we don't want to, last thing we want to do is push you beyond what you're comfortable with. So if you need to sit down, and this is open to any volunteer, if you need to sit down, if you need to take a breather, do it. And we're not going to have you hopefully not dragging a lot of tables around. We hope to have a couple of young guys there. But thanks for what you're doing, and thanks for volunteering. All right, got you in. Next up, Zeke, AB8OU.
AB8OU. Good evening, Frank and everyone. Well, I was thinking about volunteering, but I'm going to have to wait much closer to the event. Said I got my ticket, and I'm hoping I will be able to get there to use it. If so, if you give me a sitting job, I can do that probably. But I don't know, getting around to the tables if I show up will be hard at that. Anyway, I'm in a Zoom meeting, so back to you, AB8OU.
All right, thank you very much, Zeke. And we do have one job you can even do from home, and that's run check-in station. But we can talk about it later then. Thanks, and back to your meeting. All right, next up, Chris, NAACP.
Thank you there, Frank. Good evening to you and all on the net. Let's see, speaking of Zeke, I heard him. We crossed swords, Zeke and John and I, sort of. I think we were polite about it during the CQ Worldwide WPX contest this weekend, and despite the best efforts of the wind, my antennas stayed up. I was able to work the contest. I posted a pretty good score. I turned my log in this morning, and I'm up there in the rookie category, so we'll see what happens when the raw scores come out. I don't want to jinx myself, but we had 304 QSOs, so that's not too bad, and I got a lot of mults, so we'll see what happens. We'll say good evening to all, and back to control from November 8 Alpha Charlie Papa.
Very good, Chris. That's one of the fun parts of ham radio is contesting, and as somebody said, it is a contact sport. But congratulations, good luck, and let's see what the numbers finally play out for you. But I'm glad you had a good time, and unless anybody else out there takes an antenna and the wind not knocking it down, and a radio and some time, and bingo, you're in the middle of a contest, and you're doing pretty good. So thanks very much then. All right, W8DIS, Bill, go ahead.
Hello all. Good to be on the air. Here lately I've been spending more time in doctor's offices than at home. Had 3 appointments this week so far. I mean, before the week is out. But I feel real badly that I can't help out more on the Hamfest, but I'm rooting for you guys. I'll do what I can if I can even show up. But other than, don't want to bore everybody with my problems, but good to be on the air, and hope everyone else is doing well, and hope to see you soon if I can get over to a meeting. W8DIS, back to net.
Well, thank you very much, Bill, and again, this goes out to everybody. We are not trying to push our members beyond what they can do. If you're not comfortable, if you can't make it out there, I know you personally, Bill, have helped with the Hamfest many years in the past. I got pictures of it to prove it. And if you can't do it this year, that's fine. And we appreciate your best wishes. And maybe in the future you can, but that is what it is. We're just offering the call for volunteers again as a reminder. If you've got the time, we sure could use your help Friday for table setup, and of course Saturday for the event itself. But again, thank you, Bill, and everybody out there who's contributed their time and effort in the past. I'm going to do it as long as I can and with the abilities I have, and it's always great to work with the team, whoever makes it out there. All right, then. This is W8VPV, the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club, Monday night, VHF UHF-net. Looking for 5 check-ins. Please come now.
November 8, Ocean Queen Papa.
Got you, Pat. Next. Okay, station that just tried to check in is the radio that's doing that beepy thing. There's I believe all you have to do is push the 0 button on the keypad, and that will turn off that annoying feature. But in either case, key the transmitter, wait about 3 or 4 seconds, and then give us your call sign.
Frank, 8HMS. I don't know why this thing's beeping.
It is. It must have bumped a button there somewhere, but yeah, it does about a 3-second beep, Steve, and then you get to talk. So we'll just take that into consideration when you check in. Looking for the next check-in. I got you, Steve. Okay, that was a double. I got you, Ken, KL, and what was the other station? Mike, okay. Next check-in.
W03X recheck.
Go ahead, recheck.
Yeah, this is W03X. I tried the 162.400, and it's not the Akron one. It's because it starts out with Lorraine, so it's northwest of here. The Akron one is apparently off the air totally.
I've got info on that.
Okay, thanks, John, and go ahead, Pat, then. We'll check in and go ahead and relay that information now.
Okay, NAOQP here. Couple of things quick. If you're planning on helping with the Hamfest, or if we at this point we need enough people to actually make this happen. So I want to appeal to you and if you can even spare an hour. We're not expecting you to give the whole Hamfest up. There's only a few of us that do that every year. But if you can spare an hour and a half, something like that, and help out your club, it would be greatly appreciated. And now on to the weather thing. I just talked to the lead forecaster at the NWS here, probably 5 minutes ago, because I'd heard the questions about it. And Keith and Lakewood asked me about it yesterday on the phone. What they've told me is that that transmitter is completely down until the power comes back on and until they can get down there and assess it. It's probably going to be towards the end of the week before everything gets back to normal, but they do know that it's happening. And it'll keep you back to net.
Very good, Pat. Appreciate that information. And, well, I got Ken on the list here. We'll check with him in just a second. All right, Steve, K8HMS. Go ahead, give us a pause, and then go speak. Go ahead.
I'm on the 440 side now. I don't know why this thing's doing this. It's not a handheld. Yeah, am I getting in okay?
Yes, you are. Again, we heard the beep, but you waited long enough, and then you were coming through loud and clear. So, yeah, it's working. Is this a Yaesu unit?
The Yaesu unit.
Okay, I heard a Yaesu unit, so I believe it is. Yes, it's probably trying to do that, maybe that wires protocol. I could be wrong. You can enable it or disable it by hitting, I think, one button. And let me see, on my Yaesu I've got in front of me, there's a little, like an atom, two crossing circles on the keypad. I believe that turns it off and on. I don't know if you've got something like that on your microphone or not, but you might accidentally bump that button. It's like if you know what a Lassaju figure is, it's like a 2x2 Lassaju figure.
Yeah, I don't really see it here, but alrighty. Well, let me snoop here a little. Yeah, that's weird because I really haven't done anything with this. But anyhow, okay. Well, let me get in and out here. Like I say, I'm on the 440 side, so just good evening to you. Good evening, everybody, and hopefully I'll be there Friday night to help a little bit with table setup. So back to net, KHMS.
Hey, Frank.
Good, Steve. I can help you sometime later this week. Work on that if you can't figure it out yourself then. All right, let's see. I think I had a recheck from Ken, W8KL. Were you in there again?
This is Ken, not from Lakewood, but from Cuyahoga Falls for N8OQP's digestion. LOL. W8KL. Ken in Cuyahoga Falls. Yeah, I called them, Pat, and their phone hung up on me. I followed the directions on their website. I hit the 0, and it kerplunked, hung up on me. They didn't want to talk to anybody, apparently. I don't know if they ever do. I've never had reason or chance to call them. However, also, I wanted to mention that Charlie Yankee 0 Sierra is up on the air till Wednesday. I watched the YouTube telecast or broadcast from K3LR's studios over in Pennsylvania, and they said they're going to be there till Wednesday. So anybody who hasn't worked, that's the 49th rarest country on the country list, being of rare entities. So if you haven't had a chance to work Charlie Yankee 0S Sable Island, it's just a little north of east on the beam. So it's a pretty rare one. Doesn't come up too often. So that's all I had. Oh, I did put a for anybody else's information that might be interested, I put an LOTW DXCC application in online today to the ARRL break. And in the morning, I went out and did a few things and such and so on. I came back in the early afternoon, and it was already completed on their end. So they're very well up to date, and they also sent me PDF files of my paperwork, which is greatly appreciated. W8KL, back to W8 Victor Papa Victor. All right, very good, Ken. Appreciate the info on Sable Island. Yeah,
Anytime you can get a rare one out there, that's good. Maybe I'll try to do that myself then. Okay, let's see here. Next, bottom of my list is Mike, WB8CXO. I hope the wind kept your antennas, or missed your antennas.
Time. Repeater. Out.
And as far as you're streaming the net tonight, and you hit the 2-minute timer, you want to finish that up in a few? All right, Mike, thanks very much. That's good information, and I'll add it to the announcements I do tonight, both at the end of this net and our band exploration net, which will be 80 meters, by the way, tonight, 3.827 megahertz. So if you can make it, hope to see you down there. All right, I'm at the bottom of my list. This is W8VPV, the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club, Monday night, VHF UHF net, looking for any more check-ins.
K8WTK.
All right, I think I got K8PU and KA8WTK. Do we have any more check-ins?
WA4WGA.
Oh my gosh, that's Ray. WA4WGA. I'll get back to you in a second, Ray. Anybody else? All right, we'll take these three. Larry, go ahead.
Frank, everybody on the net. Yeah, I don't have any sticks for 80 anymore, so I can't do the other net, but of course, be there to help out for the Infest. I did hear on Channel 8 today they expected to have all the power returned by Wednesday, so maybe that'll help out with the weather station.
Okay, aside from that, nothing new and exciting to talk about, so I'll let you get over to Bill and see what Bill's been up to. W8VPV, KHPU.
Great, very good, Larry. Good hearing in there, and you know, if you can help us, we'll get you a sit-down job somewhere by a door or something, and well, we appreciate it. All right, KA8 WTK, Bill, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, W8VPV, KA8 WTK. Good evening, Frank, and everybody else on the net. Not much going on here. Sort of enjoyed the weather when it was real windy in that the antennas did not blow down, and the last couple of years we've spent a lot of money trimming trees, which are not mine, that overhang the yard. Some of the limbs over the yard were 40 feet long, reaching out across the yard, and I'm really glad that we had them taken down before this before this weather event. It was really something. People across the street even had their flagpole blow down in their front yard. Break for time. Since I am working on something for the newsletter for you, I'll get it over to you in a day or two. And that's really about it. So back to net control, W8VPV, KA8, WTK.
Very good, Bill. Good hearing you in there, and yeah, this is a challenge for all antennas. I've got a little higher than I expected SWR, so I got to look into it, but at least I'm getting a signal into the repeater. We'll see what it's like on 80 meters tonight, if I can get that to tune or not. But yeah, that was quite a windstorm. I've got a lot of debris in my yard I'll be picking up this spring, and the trouble is it usually takes a bit of time to dry out, and by then the grass is intertwined in it. It's when you find it with a lawnmower, it's a very exciting event. So, but it is what it is. Well, that's why I'm living out here. I love the rural environment. All right, thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. All right, Ray, WA4WGA. I have not heard from you for a while. It's good to hear you back. Tell me, how's things going?
WA4WGA, here in Talmadge at Heather Knoll. I'm on physical therapy, more for maintenance than anything else. Let me get some time. Alrighty, getting my walking back up to scratch. Had one incident with the Wuhan virus, but it was pretty minor. Had two HTs. I was going to use the ICOM, but I fumble-fingered it. So I got to get a pair of eyeballs in here to get it squared away. And speaking of eyeballs, drop for time. Would not mind seeing you folks, or some of you up here. They do allow visitors. And I don't get too many of those, other than Mike Battershell, KD8 IUA, who has been quite the fella. So anyway, that's it from here. Just trying to get back to normal, as they say. Having trouble walking, but I've always had that. But since the advent of the Wuhan virus, that has been a little bit worse. The HT I'm using now is a Broadcom, what is it, 270 dual bander. The difference between this one and the ICOM is that this one talks. The ICOM IC92AD does not. So it's easy for me to get that one into Never Never Land. And I need to get eyeballs in here to get it back out of Never Never Land.
Well, first, glad to hear you're back in the area and you're doing okay. I know when you disappeared, there was some concern about what had happened, and nobody was sure, and I don't remember the ham, but somebody came on and said you were okay, out of state, and recovering from some medical issue, which is not relevant to me. But anyway, glad to hear you. I know I am up to my eyebrows in Hamfest planning, so I don't have time to do hardly anything between now and then. But after that, perhaps I can get in touch with you and find a couple hours to get up there and say hi. And what was the ring again that's giving you troubles? I'd have to get a manual in advance and figure out how to program it.
It is the IC92 Alpha Delta. IC92 Alpha Delta. Unfortunately, it is no longer in production.
Okay, I'm not familiar with it, but I have some other ICOM HTs, and I will look up the manual for this one, and I should be able to figure out the simple things, and then maybe I can do something after this Hamfest is done. But very good, Ray. Glad to hear you're back in the area. You're sounding strong, so that's a good sign. And yeah, this Wuhan virus was, I dodged most of it. I did have several of the shots. I still got it. I got there's an over-the-counter treatment for it that doesn't come to mind right now, and it seemed to clear up fairly quickly. But it leaves a lasting effect on you, and I can feel a difference in myself. So glad you made it as well as you did. All right, then. This is the bottom of the list. Let's see what we can do here. Any more check-ins? This is W8VPV, the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club Monday Night Net.
W8VPV. Repeater. PL110.9.
All right, hearing nothing, I'll run through the announcements, maybe put one more call out there for check-ins, then wrap this net up. Wednesday, April 12th, it's about 2 weeks from now, we've got our business meeting. This is a big one because we've got several major issues, or major events going on. It is our first round of officer nominations. We'll have a second chance at the May business meeting, but if you got somebody you want to nominate or you want to help with the club, get involved, by all means show up and become an officer. We'll also be nominating a trustee to replace one stepping down. We'll review the Hamfest status and volunteer training. We'll go over just a quick 10 or 15-minute video showing how things are lined up and how the setup goes. Most of you have been through this before. We want to make sure any new volunteers knows what's happening. And we'll have a little bit more discussion about the repeater if time permits. Then Friday, April 14th, that's 2 days later, we'll do the Hamfest setup. That's Friday night. That's going to be arranging some tables and helping labeling tables and putting out signs. Saturday, April 15th, as the Hamfest itself starts at 6 a.m. We need volunteers early there. Doors open for everybody at 8 a.m. We will have food and beverage and coffee there, so please show up. Following Saturday is April 22nd in Tusco, Tuscarawas County Fairgrounds Hamfest. First one I will have been to down there, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. Wednesday, April 26th, we have an activity meeting. It'll be a Zoom presentation titled Rocketry and Amateur Radio by Morgan Lyons, KI5SXY. She's involved with her college in aeronautics, and I'll be talking about her use of ham radio in rocketry. And an announcement, apparently the Cuyahoga Amateur Radio Society, CARS, is offering a bus to Dayton. If you want to go to Dayton, reach out to CARS. I believe there's a flyer or a link off their website. That's the Cuyahoga Amateur Radio Society, and they have a bus going down to Dayton. Finally, we have a band exploration net tonight on 80 meters at 3.827 megahertz at 9:30. Hope to hear you there. It's just a way to make sure your antennas survive the wind. All right, this is W8VPV, the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club Monday Night VHF UHF net. Looking for any last check-ins.
8 KVI, in and out, on the phone with Chuck.
Very good, Ron. Got you in and out. Tell Chuck I said hi. Do we have any other last check-ins?
Recheck.
TQR, Keith in Uniontown.
Okay, I got a Keith in Uniontown. What was the call, Keith?
Kilo Echo 8 Tango Quebec Romeo.
All right, I'll get right back to you, Keith, and then there was a recheck in there. Go ahead, recheck.
Yeah, this is KD8VYT. Earlier I talked about that Bofang and that zero. I was mistaken. It was the Yaesu radio that does that, and you just push the zero on that, and it fixes it. That's it, KD8VYT.
Oh, very good, Dan. Steve, I don't know if you heard that or not, but if you want to try to push zero on your microphone and then recheck in, we'll let you know if that beeps there or not. And meanwhile, over to KE8TQR. Keith, go ahead, sir.
KE8TQR. Good evening, Frank, and everyone on the net. You're having a really good net tonight. A lot of information out here. Just wanted to stop in real quick. I won't keep everybody. Just wanted to say hi. But anyway, that's about it. I will send it back to you. And everyone have a good evening and a great rest of your week. KE8TQR. 7-3 all.
All right, thank you very much, Keith. You're one of the new people in there, so don't be a stranger. There's one of us here every Monday night, starting about 8:30, running this net. We'd always love to hear you, have you check in. Also, as you heard, we've got a Hamfest coming up on April 15th, so spread the word to any of your friends, and if you're in a club members that may want to attend, it's through your attendance that keeps these events going. We expect to have a very good turnout this year. We were surprised at how well it went last year, and we will have a food vendor this year. It's been lined up and taken care of, so there will be food, coffee, donuts, things like that. All right, W8VPV, any last check-ins? All right, let me wrap this up then. In preparing to close this net, I'd like to thank each and every one of you who took the time to join us tonight and check in. Without your participation, there would be no net. This has been Frank, W8ECT, and it's been my pleasure to host this evening's net. At this time, I'll close the net with 16 check-ins, myself included, and return this repeater to normal and customary amateur radio use. This is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor closing the net at 9:13 p.m. Everybody, 73, have a good one. And Steve, K at HMS, if you want to try pushing zero on your keypad and then coming back to me, I'll tell you whether you got that beep out of the system or not. W8ECT, I'll be clear and monitoring. And again, folks, don't forget we have our band expiration net tonight, 80 meters on 3.827 or thereabouts, depending on QRM.
ACP, W8KL. Are you still on frequency, Chris?
Roger, go ahead. on 70 centimeter and 2 meter. Over.
Hey, Chris. Yeah, okay, very good. Being in a multi-unit building, do you have any problem, with TVI, RFI, or any of that stuff? I'm just curious.
None that I know of. There's noise here, of course. So if I was out in the country and strung it up at the same height, I'd...
To contact them on sideband. I need them so badly on 10, but one of the few countries in the world, it skips over us on 10, of all things. There were 2 other operations that I've contacted in the past, and the same thing happened. 10 meters were just too close for it. But if they were on in the summertime, there's like more of a ground level wave, or whatever you want to call it, in the summer, and like close contact to contact, a close area, rather than a long skip. But they're on when they're on, and that's when you have to catch them. So, but I did get them on 30. I was happy about that.
W8VPV. Repeater.
Cool. I assume that was CW or digital. Yeah, I worked them a couple of times during the contest. There were huge pile-ups at the beginning, but then on Sunday I think I got them twice or 3 times. So, and that's a de-expedition if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, you're right about 10 meters. I don't think I heard them there. It was all on the upper bands. I'd have to go back and look at my log actually to tell you which bands I worked. I think I saw they were still calling. There's a couple of stations, the Irish station out of the expedition. They're still calling, which I thought was funny because I turned the radio on and I worked it to the bitter end at 8 p.m. on Sunday, our time, and 2 hours later I turned the radio back on and. I guess, if you're coming from Ireland all the way down to the Caribbean, you might as well get your money's worth. Roger.
Suppose W8KL. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I hear you fine on the input, by the way. You're like...
I got LCS.
Correct. Yep. I had to stop thinking about that.
I don't know if it's opioids or whatever, those drug addicts that when they're coming down also, they got to have something sweet and with a lot of caffeine. And
Bueno, estoy hablando que eso ha infiltrado las Fuerzas Armadas, ha infiltrado la policía, ha infiltrado el poder político. Esa gente controla
Eso está bárbaro, ¿verdad? Eso, gente, está, como decía Escobar Gaviria, creo que es el nombre de este maestro, o plata. I was not following him.
That must be another bus coming there.
You can go and buy a baseball bat and kill people with it.
Pick a lawnmower up and chase people around with it. Yeah, that could be ugly.
Oh, yeah.
And 40, 70 centimeter. Back over to you.
Okay, Chris, I'll cut it short. DX is calling. T-77's on 30 CW. I am going to try to work that. So I will say 73 and talk to you later. Thanks for the rundown on the antennas. Sounds good. W8KL, and my antenna's on the my web page, or whatever you want to call it, on QRZ. I have a 30-meter inverted V underneath the big antenna. That's it for me. I had an 80-meter up some years ago and traded it around for a 30, I guess, so to speak. So I will chat a little bit later. W8 Kilo Lima, I'll say 73, and have a good one.
Roger, Ken. Yeah, get that DX. Good luck. I'm sure you'll do fine. 30 meters is a cool band. I started, I just got a key and am in the process of learning CW, and that's, I always hear people on 30 meters, and so I'll practice my my copy. Whiskey 8 Kilo Lima 73 from November 8 Alpha Charlie Papa. Thanks for the call.
ZT WA4WGA. W80ZT WA4WGA.
Hi, Ray. What's up?
Very quickly, the NEO address is no more. I'm going to email you from the new address that I'm using.
Okay, my email address is no more also, and I've got a temporary one that will change again. It's mycall W8EZT at CFARC.org. I'm using the club's email address facility right now.
That I'll send my new address to that one, and you can move it accordingly. Have a good evening, sir. WA4WGA.
All right, thanks, Ray. Have a good evening yourself. W8EZT. I'll be clear and QS wide somewhere on 80 meters. I can't find an opening anywhere right now. W8EZT clear.
Quick, Ted, PRK, are you listening over here?
Station calling, go ahead again, W8EZT.
We're seeing if KV8PRK was listening over here.
Oops, sorry to get in the way then. W8EZT, clear and QSY.
Guess he's not. WA4WGA, done.
W8VPV. Repeater. W8VPV. Repeater.
ACP W8KL.
Kilo Lima at 8 ACP.
False alarm, Chris, on that T-77. It was a V-21 or something. Antigua or whatever the heck that is. How could they mix that up? Don't know. Anyway, I was going to mention one last thing. There's a net on the last Thursday of the month. There's a DX net on 10. You may not be able to, if you can't check in, you might be able to hear it. It's run by Wayne, K8 Fox. It's on 28,480, I think, at 8:30 on 10 meters, the last Thursday of the month. I thought I'd mention that.
All right, very good, Ken. Last Thursday of the month, 28,480, run by Kilo 8 Fox, Roger.
That would be this Thursday.
QSL, I should be able to hear that. There's the local guys that chat around on 28,337, and I can hear just about everybody, and almost all of them can hear me pretty good, even though our polarizations are usually different, because most of them, I think, are vertically polarized, so.
When did they drop it for free? About 30 years ago.
This will be the third time I've had to have that done.
Hit it.
Like it's, these are one of them. I mean, they're pretty bulletproof.
Moving down.
Up and down, man.
Moving on up. Moving up.
On the east side.
I was on here for a while, and then I went and worked a little bit at the accident.
Okay over there?
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. No problems whatsoever.
I've had nothing.
That's all work to be. Arreglar alguna cosa.
When them shots in there, it lasts about 2-3 days.
KW4. Good evening, Joe. How's everything with you? I've had one on my desk for the last 30 years.
I'll see you guys tomorrow, W8LMG.
Okay,
City Floyd Quad.
And it's supposed to, that's what they, you know.
Medication
Instead of getting a defibrillator implanted in them. Just right at the noise, but
Radio Club Monday night, VHF, UHF net. My name is Frank. My call is W8EZT, but for the purposes of this net, I'll be using the club call Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor. This is an open directed net. All amateur radio operators are invited and encouraged to check in. You do not have to be a club member. All traffic will go through net control, and since emergency traffic may break in at any time, please leave a brief pause between transmissions. The purpose of this net is to bring together all amateur radio operators for the exchanging of amateur-related ideas and information to enhance net operating practices and during these times of social isolation to keep its members up to date about club happenings. This net meets here every Monday evening. Newsline at 8:01. I'll start with some quick announcements and ask for check-ins for any officer or member with general announcements. Then we'll take check-ins one at a time and wrap it up with the announcements again and then return the frequency to amateur radio use. All right. And let me make an announcement on 27 here. All right, then. Let's see here. Coming up Wednesday, April 12th is our business meeting. It is the first round of officer nominations. One trustee is also going to be replaced, so we need a nomination for him. We'll also be doing a review of our Hamfest and the volunteer training. It'll be quick, it'll be simple, but it's important, so please, if you can make that meeting, go ahead. We'll also have another round of repeater discussions if time permits. Then 2 days later is our Hamfest weekend. Friday set up at 6 p.m. or about 6:30 p.m. We appreciate your help if you can come out as a volunteer and help set up. Saturday is the Hamfest itself. We need help on the scene from about 5:30 on. The Hamfest goes till about 12:30, 1 o'clock. Saturday, April 22nd is the Tusco Hamfest. That's the following Saturday at Tuscaloosa County Fairgrounds. Wednesday, April 26th, we'll be doing our activity meeting. It'll be a Zoom presentation hosted by the Morgan Lions, KI5SXY on rocketry, amateur radio. She's involved in her college aeronautics team and is using ham radio and rocketry. Finally, a general announcement for those of you who want to go to Dayton. The Cuyahoga Amateur Radio Service is sponsoring a bus to the Dayton area. They have information on their website.
so please go ahead and do a Google search on it. All right, with that, we've got the announcements in, so we're looking for check-ins. Go ahead, please. All right, number one out of the chute is Mike, WB8KXO. I'm going to take them one at a time tonight, so go ahead, Mike. Very good, Mike. Thanks for bringing that information to the table. There were a lot of people disappointed when we first heard the buzz wasn't going through the Akron group, Sarah there, but hopefully some people get down there who wouldn't otherwise make it. I'm going to try to this year, but I don't know yet. Time will tell. All right, thanks, Mike. Let's see here. Looking for any more check-ins for the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club Monday night HFNet.
WO3X, Whiskey Oscar, 3 X-ray.
All right, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I saw that message from Vince there, so he's ready for newsletter articles, so I edited that one more time, adding like Pat mentioned about even just 1 hour would help. Especially on Saturday there. So that went in, so we'll see how that turns out. And let's see, I'm on I see I'm getting the strongest signal from you on the shunt-fed tower. So that's what I'm on right now. And let's see, so with that, back to you, WHVPV. This is WO3X.
Very good, John. Real luminous signal in here, so it's obviously doing a good job. I think a lot of hands have heard of shunt-fed vertical rods. That might be a good mini presentation, maybe just 15 minutes of, I just wanted to get on 80 meters, and I had this big tower, and this is how I calculated where to feed it and how I tune it. Good job, though. Good signal, and thanks for checking in, and, of course, thanks for everything you're doing for the Hamfest. All right, then. This is WAVPV looking for any check-ins for our Monday night band exploration net tonight on 80 meters at 3835. Smallest net I've ever had. We'll give it one more try. W8VPV looking for any check-ins for the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club Monday night net.
Alpha Bravo 8 Oscar uniform.
Oh, okay, Zeke, coming through real good. AB8OU, go ahead, sir.
AB8OU, good evening, Frank. Well, I can almost hear you. I said you're right on the noise, and not much here, except like a number of the others operated in the WPX sideband contest over the weekend. Did better than last year, but nowhere near my all-time high in that contest. It's going to be a quiet month. I said I've only got state QSO parties on the list for April. Anyway, back to you, Frank. If you're hearing me, AB8OU.
Yes, I am, Zeke. You're coming in real good. I've got about an F6, maybe F7 noise level, and your chicken's metered F9, so I can hear you real good. I could probably push my power up a little bit. Stand by. When I first started transmitting, I was throwing a real high SWR, but so I have it back down now. But I should be maybe 3 dB up, so you might hear me a little better. Anyway, thanks, Zeke. Appreciate the comeback. Anything else for the net?
Negative. You did come up nicely. You're actually copyable now. Have a good week, AB8OU.
All right, thanks, Zeke. About double my power at this point. All right, this is W8DPV, the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club, looking for any last check-ins for our band exploration night this evening on 80 meters at 3835.
November 8th, Alpha Charlie Papa, 1088 AB.
All right, Chris, got you. Good signal. How you doing?
I'm real good, Frank. Glad you got things straightened around there. Sorry about having had to cut in there. He was asking me some questions. So anyways, but I think I said everything I had to say in the regular net. So we'll just turn it back to you, Frank. W8 VPV from November 8, Alpha Charlie Papa, 76.
Oh, very good. I'm not sure what happened, but yeah, at the beginning I was pulling a real high SWR and didn't think I was going to be able to do anything, but I wiggled some wires and flipped some switches here and cycled the, I've got an outboard switch that selects one of two antennas, cycled that a couple of times, and that seemed to clean it up, so maybe the wind or something did something. Anyway, thanks for the check-in, Chris. Appreciate it. Have yourself a great week, and take care. This is W8DPV looking for any check-ins.
W03X recheck.
Go ahead, John.
I switched to the horizontal antenna. It's a loaded dipole, and I could pick up Zeke 10 dB higher. So he was 20 over 9 on that antenna. That's what I'm on right now, this antenna. And Chris was 10 dB higher also. It seems that but your signal is lower on the wire than on the vertical. So you're probably picking me up a little less strong than before. Back to the net, this is W03X.
Interesting, John. I am on a vertical at this point. At least it was before the wind. I haven't looked at it recently. But you were giving me a solid 10 over S9 on your peaks. You might want to switch over to the other antenna again, the shunt-fed tower, and I'll give you an SWR reading. But I thought you sounded louder earlier. But in any case, you're certainly quite readable.
Oh, yeah, I switched, and it's 10 dB higher with you on the vertical.
Yeah, you're coming through here 15 over, 20 over S9 now, so yeah, that's really kicking in. Good antenna, good solution. How high up is the shunt, do you know? And how tall is the tower?
Well, it's a 30-foot tower, one of those home TV antenna towers. And let's see, so I have about a 12-foot mast sticking out of the top of that, and above that is my quad band VHF antenna. The antenna does 6 meters, 2 meters, 220 megahertz, and 440 megahertz. And let's see, so the shunt is about at about the 20 feet point. So it's attached there at 20 feet, about 18 inches from the tower, and then comes down near the ground, and that's where I have my little box with capacitors in it to tune it.
Very good, very good. That could definitely be a maybe even a newsletter article if you didn't want to do a full-blown club presentation. But that's the kind of stuff I love to hear about. All right, thanks, John. Appreciate it. Very good on the antenna there. And like I say, it's you're booming in now on the through this shiny antenna. So, but that's probably because we're both vertically polarized, and we're still doing this through the ground wave. All right, I'm going to put out one more call, see if anybody else is out there, and then wrap this net up for the evening. I got a long day ahead of me tomorrow. So this is WADPV, the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club, looking for any check-ins on our band exploration net tonight on 80 meters at 3835. All right, the announcements, and I'll get out of here. Wednesday, April 12th, we have our business meeting. First round of officer nominations, also one trustee to be nominated. We're also doing a review of our HAMFest status and volunteer training for the HAMFest coming up in 2 days after that meeting. And if we have time, we'll have some more discussions on repeater upgrades. Friday, April 14th, Saturday, April 15th is our HAMFest. Set up Friday at 6 p.m. We could use help with tables. Saturday is the HAMFest itself. Need help as early as 6 a.m. and throughout the day. Saturday, April 22nd, a week following is the Tusco HAMFest down at Tuscarawas County Fairgrounds, so another good one to go to. Wednesday, April 26th will be our activity meeting. It'll be a Zoom presentation titled Rocketry and Amateur Radio by Morgan Lyons, college student KI5SXY in her aeronautics and space training curriculum and how she uses ham radio. And lastly, the Cuyahoga Amateur Radio Service is holding a bus trip to Dayton. You can get it from the website. And thank Mike, WB8CXO, for getting his information out. Go to cars.clevelandcomputer, all one word, .com, and they have the information there on their site. All right, that's all I've got then. If there are no last check-ins, we'll try once more, and then we'll wrap this net up. In preparing to close this net, I'd like to thank all of you who took the time to join us and check in tonight. Without your participation, there would be no net. This has been Frank, WADZT, and it's been my pleasure to host this evening's net. At this time, I'll close the net with 5 check-ins, myself included, and return this frequency to normal and customary amateur radio use. This is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor, closing the net at 9:49 p.m., 73.
This thing is on the rise. We have a dog here. We have a dog named Marley.
Que acomode la arenita que siempre.
What's my signal report? Running here at FTDX 3000 into a antenna tuner. Not for this band. It pretty much breezes right through. It's a G5RV that we had given to us, and that's the only antenna I got left up. We had some bad winds and stuff like that come in and took things down. In fact, it took down that G5RV, but we repaired it and stuck it back up for the time being. It's up about 50 feet. It seems like we're running about 50 to 60 watts from what I can see. Over.
Yeah, very good. Well, yeah, nice strong signal. It's that's all what you eat.
Yeah, I was down there. What is it?
And beard wax and vodka.
Oh, it's that XD30 he wears.
Roger, appreciate it.
Then 73, QRZ. Kilo India 5, Kilo Oscar India. Kilo India 5, Kilo Oscar.
Radio SmartSDR.
He's sitting here beside me and he puts his paw up and I literally rub the bottom of his leg. So, there you go.
understand, Joe. Well, I tell you, you know, I get that way as well. When
such a high mass and everything else. You too there. I have been away from the...
Es un deslizamiento que no es fácil de hacer, nada fácil, pero hay que hacer.
Sobre competentes. Quiero repetir esta palabra y al mismo tiempo con...
That's the list as I have it. So this is November 4.
Whiskey Foxtrot uniform. Once again, this is the Big Gun Friendship Net, and our purpose.
To dig Mike 6. Oh man, I can't read my handwriting.
Good work, but it's Eastern time too, so that makes...
And so
we had a lot of things like that.
we had so that was an interesting thing to happen.
Rare.
Whiskey for fiber. Well, we
Roger, Alpha Delta 2, Charlie Delta. QSL?
QSL, Alpha Delta 2, Charlie Delta, Toby, you're 5'9".
Roger, you're 5'9 plus 10, New Jersey. QSL?
Nine, old man.
Internet connection wasn't all that popular. So when... Bueno, que se tire. Que la pelea es...
To a all-center-fed dipole with a 450D tonight. Using paper logs, no computer for QRZ or anything. Just seeing what I can do with 100 watts and a headset. Go ahead.
Roger. Well, you're doing very well.
The TTX10 probably within 2 or 3 weeks of selling the 3000. So I bought it just before Newsline announced that they were discontinuing the radio. I probably got one of the last ones in the stores. And like I said, it was a very nice radio. It just, it didn't suit my preferences, and so I decided to go another route. So somebody got a like new radio because I keep my stuff immaculate, and although it was out here on the desk, there wasn't a mark on it, and I didn't have a lot of hours on it either because I was playing a lot with the 7300 at that time. So somebody got what they wanted, and I got what I wanted, and it worked out. And the 10 I've had since, so that would be roughly January. I actually think I have had the 10 now just around a year, so probably February, March of last year I bought this radio, and pretty much has become my standard go-to radio at this point in time.
So is the 10 an upgrade from the 3000?
So the way, yeah.
Crash, what's up? Got you there. W5ECJ, the name's John. Go ahead.
John, it's Chuck.
I can't deal with this. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, what do you want to know?
Go, Victor. Ed, go ahead. Take two if you need them.
Okay. I gotta try the new general there. I love the new generals.
You know, that's kind of what that thing was based off of.
When you were over there in Florida, I still had a good signal on you, 90% of the time.
I'll have to, I don't know what I'll do next. Either
probably all brand new. They didn't require a whole lot of work on them, but I would think there'd be an awful lot of vibration on an airplane that would shake things apart over a period of time.
artificial intelligence features are coming to Zoom that could help those who run late to meetings catch up with what they missed.
You can now ask Zoom's AI assistant to summarize what you missed.
Get it. Listen, affordable health insurance plans for everyone just like you are a free phone call away. So give us a shout right now.
800-398-0651. 800-398-0651. 800-398-0651. That's 800-398-0651.
I've got a unique vacation idea for you that's right here in the United States. If you're ready for a vacation that's fun and downright affordable, listen up. It's driving distance for many of you. So no planes, no airline delays, no...
Going down in elevation, they lost 400 feet of elevation, but that brought down to 103 meters height of... to make about 20 kilowatt ERP. Because they're 3 meters over, so they were derated slightly. So they bludgeoned in the area with RF, but their coverage wasn't any better. Yep. So they've been gone, the 190-foot tower that they're on. They finally handed me the tower, so now I own 2 big towers